Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm joined by Crypto Seth and Crypto Archie, and I'm very happy to have them here with me today. First of all, let me apologize for starting late. We started 30 minutes late because we had a very interesting and long-winded conversation about Bitcoin's position in the market and how Ethereum can compete. Maybe we'll go into that. Who knows? But I don't know whether we are going to spend 30 minutes talking about that again. So, guys, there's a lot to talk about today, and I'm excited, to share some of the views I have with you, some low-cap gems I'm looking at. Same with crypto sets, same with crypto Archie. There's also a narrative that I have that I really think deserves more attention than it currently does now. And I just want to also bring that up as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Seth, Archie, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, we do apologize, guys, for being late. We're having a long-winded discussion about Bitcoin versus Ethereum and the philosophical future of Bitcoin as well. So we do apologize for being late. But don't worry, guys. We're going to be bringing you guys some good gems today. We're going to be engaging in discussion. We're not going to go on to that because we're going to be here for about 5 hours. But I do know SSM does want to start talking about, a few different gems that he's been waiting to talk about. I think in the gaming sector, but I may be wrong.
Yeah,
Can I
you're
just
right.
say, guys, guess in the chat which side everyone was on. Who was pro Bitcoin and who was pro Ethereum. I want everyone to see in the chat whether they can guess. But sorry, go ahead, SSM.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well, guys. Guess which side Archie and Seth was on. Guess which side I was on as well. So yeah, let's get right to it. And I'm really glad because the first project I want to talk about is CheckDot. And I'm glad one of the gem hunters, Army Piper, made a video about it today. And that brings me to a very important point that I would like to share with you guys today, and that's long-term investing versus short-term investment. When I first thought about checkdots, it was several weeks ago, and I was like, okay, this is a great project. This project has great fundamentals and all of that. And then people were first messaging me and telling me, okay, that checkdot has had this incredibly good run up, and now is not a good time to get into it. And I'm like, guys, we've said it on our channel several times. Whenever we're looking into a project, we're looking at the team, we're looking at the fundamentals, we're looking at the utility, and ultimately long term is key. So I sent out a video, I sent out buy alerts around this region down here, and I was like, if you haven't found this project yet, if you haven't gotten some exposure, now might be a good time to get into it. And it's up over 50% since then. And the point I'm trying to make now is, if a project like CheckDot is experiencing a dip, we're talking about a project that right now, even with all of the nice pump, the short pump we're seeing now, this project is still sitting at a market cap of $2.5 million. And that's highly undervalued for what I believe that they are doing, for what they are introducing to the space. You're looking at a project that is aiding adoption, that is bringing more utility to other projects within the space. And I'm going to discuss why I believe the price is going up right now. But the point I'm trying to make now is, whenever you are looking at a project like this, whenever people talk about it, don't be so obsessed with the fact that you didn't get in when it was on 500k. I mean, Bitcoin was on 500k at one point in its history. Right now is on hundreds of billions of dollar market cap. Would you be crying if you could get into Bitcoin at 5 million market cap today? So you should focus more on, you shouldn't be so obsessed with the price and how high it has moved in the past couple of days. What you should focus on is that long-term target. And the reason what would make you hold for that long-term target is the fundamentals, is the team behind it, and is what the project is doing. And regarding what we are saying, I think one of the reasons why this project has been doing so well recently is kind of something similar to do with has to do with a lot of speculation regarding with Binance. I mean, it's a project that is working closely with another security project, Go Plus, and that brings me to another point that I constantly make about the projects I'm researching, and that's projects that other projects within the space utilize a blockchain tool. I really like blockchain tools. I mean, it's something that other crypto projects would use, other crypto projects can rely on in order to do very well. And so we've got Go Plus, going to check dots for their security audits, for their smart contracts audits, and for some kind of insurance. And then those ones are working closely with Binance, and you've got people speculating if check dots can go with Binance and all of that. So this activity behind the project, this strong community behind the project, coupled with the fact that they have utility, makes this project such a good project, in my opinion. And these are the kind of factors you should be looking at, not just the price. So yeah, that's just what I'd like to quickly say about CheckDot to kick off this live stream. For a more in-depth view, I think you can go over to the Crypto Gem Hunters. There's a very nice video out right now by where is it? By Army Piper, yes.
Live
And
stream, yeah.
yeah, live stream. It goes in depth about CheckDot and some very deep and good technical analysis.
First
So
off,
be
guys,
sure to check that video out as well. So yeah, that's it. So what do you have to say about it, Seth and Archie?
So what I would say is CheckDot is a phenomenal project, guys. You guys already know this. We don't need to sit here and convince you that CheckDot has utility. It's quite understood that this project has utility already. So what I do want to say is, guys, this project is a low cap gem and is sitting at around $1.2 million in market cap. Meaning, if you are looking for a great entry opportunity, not only is the project low in market cap, Bitcoin is also sitting at 24K. So what other opportunity are you looking at to get into this project? When will you decide that now is the time to get into CheckDot? When Bitcoin goes up to 30K and the project's probably at $3 million in market cap? Look, I understand the need to wait. I understand the need for more, let's just say, backing of the project by other influencers. However, this is how the crypto game works. You get into these projects before they're known by the general populace, before they're known by your favorite influencers. That is the point of the gem hunters. And we brought you this gem very undervalued, $1.2 million in market cap. It's rare that you find a project that low in market cap that has utility long term and also superior tokenomics. So for those of you that are thinking about waiting with CheckDot, honestly, what I would say, if I was in your situation, I would not wait. I would buy in now. But that's if only if I was in your situation. I personally bought the CheckDot very early. I understood the use case for this project. In terms of what's causing it to rally now, I personally believe it's most likely due to the community. The community behind CheckDot is very strong. They're very bullish of the project. They're talking about it every day. They're engaging with the developers every single day. There is some big things to come for this project in the future. That's why I do see that CheckDot's going on a nice rally. People slowly are starting to understand the utility of this project. And that's what you have to look out for. The organic growth of a project. You want to get in early. For example, if you look at the chart for Altura has been growing organically. It went all the way down from being low in market cap to being about $12 million in market cap organically. It wasn't a pump. It was slow and steady growth. And we're in that phase for CheckDot right now. Try and inject yourself in a good opportunity within that organic growth. And I'd personally say now is that time to do so. That's my take about it.
Yeah, that's a solid take, Seth. And I really believe, personally as well, I think this project has a lot of potential, and that's the reason why I also got into it. And guys, it's not just about looking at what the price action is doing. Like I said, long-term investing is key, and I'm sure Archie has a lot to say about that as well. When you get into a project, it's important to buy it because you understand. It's obviously important to understand the project, because if you understand the project, that's what allows you to hold on to it long term. So what do you think about it, Archie? The price action recently is making some nice recovery. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, man, I would say this is a great long-term hold. I think there's great utility in CheckDot. I think in terms of the price action, you guys have touched on it. 2 million, 1 million in market cap is absolutely tiny. You've got to think about this. If this only goes to 200 million in market cap, or 250 million rather, that is a 100x. So you put in $1,000 and you turn that into 100 grand. So, yeah, as well, I hear some nonsense that people utter about the fact that this has already rallied. You know, it absolutely baffles me to the core, the fact that people would even suggest that as a logical theory. I mean, you know, that's like making the argument that when Bitcoin was at 1K, Bitcoin already rallied from from $1 to 1K, right? 1000x. It doesn't make sense ultimately. You know, Matic was up 50x in the last bull run, and if you would have got in when it was up 50x, you would have made probably another 50x from that point. So it doesn't make sense, that type of reasoning. What matters is the valuation. Its value currently at 2.5 million in market cap. How much could this be projected at? I mean, if you compare it to other insurance cryptos, then such as Nexus Mutual, I believe, then it could easily go to 200 million, 500 million, or even $1 billion, right? I'm not going to go that ambitious, but on the conservative side, I think 250 million is a very conservative estimate when you compare it to other insurance cryptos. It doesn't just do insurance as well. It does other things. Someone actually replied to one of my videos saying that it's not merely insurance and audits. It does more than just that, right? So I think this crypto has a lot of use cases, excellent tokenomics, which is something you don't see often, particularly on low caps. So I have no causes for concern with this one. I've seen some FUD regarding the team, the fact that they're young. I mean, Vitalik Buterin's young, and look at what he built with Ethereum. So I really don't think age is an issue. I don't even think they look too young, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually potentially having the CEO on the Gem Hunters channel for an interview with us. So that'll be exciting as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I do have some points I do want to add regarding CheckDot, guys. And it's not one of those projects which promises utility, but we have to kind of trust them long term that they will deliver. If you go and CheckDot right now in terms of decentralized insurance, they do have the BNB pair launched to protect your crypto assets. They are working on the Ethereum pair, but what I'm trying to suggest is they're looking for cross-chain, decentralized insurance. So not merely BNB, Ethereum, and maybe further down the line, Matic and other exchanges out there. So this would be great to see from CheckDot. There's a lot of utility for this project. The CEO is in Paris right now, but when he comes back, I'm sure he's going to love to jump on the Gem Hunter channel. We can discuss with him, etc. So it's a great project, guys. And you guys know, our reputation speaks for itself. We don't talk about Meta Shiba Inu and Donald Trump Dogcoin, as Archie would say. We only talk about good utility projects that we genuinely believe have potential long term. I know there's a few YouTubers out there that will essentially show you guys a project, bad tokenomics, someone's holding 70% of the supply. We do intensive research for hours. SSM does 20 hours a day of research into some projects, right? And I'm not even joking. Sometimes you see him like falling asleep on some live streams. He puts in the hours to research into these projects, guys. So this is no joke. So when we bring you a gem, it's genuinely because it has utility. None of us are paid, and none of us will ever accept, from my knowledge, any payment of any single project out there, unless it's one we already back. As Archie used, if Nakamoto came to me, I was in Nakamoto before it even did a 6x. If Nakamoto said that they want to sponsor me for a video, then great, I'll accept it. I'm already the most bullish person on Nakamoto, but we would never accept any form of payment to shill a video. What is $500? What is $1,000? It's nothing, guys. You guys already know this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for bringing that up, actually, because I have to say I've turned down several projects and several offers, and they were all coming with, once they make an offer and I check the project and it's bad, it's not what it's. I prefer to give my audience quality projects. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, and that brings me to another part of today's video, and another project that I've been bullish on for quite a while now, that I've made several videos about it, and that's Fabelt. And guys, I really like this project, and I would like to hear your take on it, what your view is, and whether or not you're going to look into it. And the reason why I like it is, take for example, the team just tweeted this out, and they've added new features, and I know there are many Web2 games out there that are argue have better graphics and have a tighter gameplay and stuff like that. But you don't see this kind of gameplay. There are not too many games that run this well on the blockchain or in Web3. And it's one of the reasons why I really like Farbot. The team is is picking up a lot of fun. They are picking up a lot of fun games and a lot of fun concepts and implementing it in their games. They are also adding a football variety to their ecosystem, and I really like that idea. So the thing about gaming projects is the game going to be fun? For me personally, I like this multiplayer idea, this tournament mode, and that's in addition to fundamentals. So there's a lot this project is doing right, in my opinion, and it's sitting at a market cap of what? Let me see. It's sitting at a market cap of 1.4 million. I've seen projects with worse tokenomics and worse no games at all, to be honest. I've seen projects with no games out here, just promises, doing tens of millions, hundreds of $1 million market cap just from people getting excited from promises. So I really think Fabelts can do much more better. I believe Fabelts can go much more higher than this. And even if you are on my Patreon, I've talked about these projects for a very long time since it was around here. So I mean, the patrons are happy. They've made some good gains on it, and I believe it still has a lot more room for growth. So when it comes to gaming projects, guys, what do you think people should look out for in investing into gaming projects, and what do you think can be the long-term potential for the next bull run in terms of gaming project as a narrative?
So Archie, why don't you go first there? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so what I would say with gaming projects is you need to look for an actual good product that works as well. So what I would say is we've seen a lot of gaming projects which look good. So we've seen, for example, Illuvium, right? The trailer's out for Illuvium, but it's took a while before the game's actually out, the full game. I still don't believe it's been released. So for me personally, as much as Illuvium looks cool, the graphics look amazing, it looks like a AAA game, I would avoid it due to the fact that it's still not out yet. And it is merely driven off hype or speculation. So I wouldn't invest in Illuvium personally due to that. However, if the game for Illuvium was out, then that's the type of project which I potentially look at investing in. One that has good graphics, it doesn't look like a crap game, one that would actually look like it could be played on Xbox or PlayStation at the end of the day when it comes to that type of game. However, I personally like the thought of investing in simplistic mobile type games, such as Nakamoto, right? Because of the fact that it's accessible to anyone. I think this is the way how the mass adoption is going to be, existent in crypto is through in crypto gaming is through mobile games and browser games. I think they're the two places where most people play games. You have the hardcore gamers who use Steam and things like this, but most ordinary people will use a browser or will use the App Store. So that's what I like Nakamoto for. Gala as well are doing that. If you go onto Gala, they actually released a game. It's some sort of, I don't know the exact name. It's like cat something, right? Kitten something. It's a Candy Crush style game. I'll try and search for it right now, but it looks cool. Okay, it looks like people would play it. I think it's called Meow Match, right? So if you search that in, you should be able to find it. Now people play this game. It's got 4.9 star reviews on the App Store. I'm gonna get it up right now on my screen so that you can see it. I get it up here. It has very good reviews on the App Store, and it's not often that you see this. So here we go, right? I wouldn't ever play this game, just so everyone knows. Full disclaimer, right? I wouldn't play this game, but it's a game that anyone can play, right? You could imagine 40-year-old Karens playing this game. You could imagine children playing this game. You could imagine everyone playing it, right? It's a Candy Crush style game. 4.7 star reviews on the App Store with a lot of reviews actually. So, 8.9 thousand reviews and it's 4.6 stars. So this is actually developed by Gala. So interesting stuff. That's what I've been looking at in terms of games, basically, is ones that can be on mobile, ones that anyone can play, and simplistic. I wouldn't look for too specific niche games such as Star Atlas or these types of games. I would or Outer Ring. I would look for accessible, playable games to the masses.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Seth?
So we need to understand how the next bull run is going to work. I generally think the next bull run is going to be a bull run of utility. With that said, I still think gaming projects are going to perform well. So when we do look towards gaming projects, it's not good just to say any gaming project will do well. That may have worked in a previous bull run. However, in this bull run, in the next, coming to this next bull run, I don't think that's going to work either. So we really do have to filter out all the gaming projects and look for the highest quality projects for long-term use. And I think projects that will perform long have a few different characteristics. One, cross-platform. Whether you like it or not all gamers are on PC or Xbox or even mobile. Gamers are cross-platform across several different fields. If it's browser, if it's PC, if it's Linux even, if it's mobile. People are across so many different platforms, and to cater to the masses, we need to have cross-platform. Secondly, it needs to be simple. No one is playing the games at Sandbox. Sandbox is being carried by hype alone. No one is playing the games over at Sandbox. However, if you create simple games that gamers already like to play, whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's Candy Crush, even games like 8-Ball Pool from Nakamoto Games, people will easily adopt it. It's just another means to play the games that they already like. And if you can get gamers to play the games they already like, however, with the added benefits of tokens, with the added benefits of NFTs, then they're going to utilize it. Think about it this way, guys. People don't just want to utilize the blockchain merely because it's decentralized. People are too lazy for that, guys. It's the same reason why people use centralized social media applications. We all don't care that, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter steal our data, because the decentralization aspect of other social media applications isn't good enough for us to move over. That's why projects like Nakamoto, which implement a token system which could allow gambling, and you guys already know people love gambling in all aspects of life. If it's games specifically, everyone's so competitive. They'd love to be able to, like me and Archie will play against each other. We'll both say, yeah, he's better, I'm better. We put $100 on an 8-ball pool game, and the winner, gets the $200. Archie will say he wins. I would say I'd win. And SSM would probably say I'd win because I'd probably win. But look, guys, the point is it's going to be adopted by the masses of gamers. And because of that fact, I can see it performing well long term. So to simplify what I just said, the next bull run is going to be a bull run of utility. Therefore, we need to filter out all the gaming projects. A few characteristics to look for is games that can be adopted by the masses. The masses are on a lot of different platforms, so look for projects which cater to the most amount of gamers. Gala Games, Nakamoto, they cater to the most amount of gamers. That's why it's a great project. Again, guys, you need to understand a working product is necessary. It's all good and well it being speculation. However, you need a working product, because arguably the working product, if it is good, that will make your project do well. If you're risking having a product out for the whole of the crypto world to judge, and it genuinely is good, believe it, your project's going to do well. For example, let's say Fortnite just randomly came out on the blockchain. No one even used on the blockchain. Let's just say randomly came out as a blockchain game by Gala Games. Everyone would play it because it's an actual playable game. It's that same concept, guys. So look for real gems of real utility. But one hidden advice before I wrap this all up, don't stay away from tokenomics, guys. Tokenomics are very important. Even if a project matches everything I just said, let's say Nakamoto had 5% in circulation, Archie and me wouldn't be backing it. SSM wouldn't be backing it, even though I'm so bullish on Nakamoto. If the tokenomics are rubbish, the project would be rubbish. So remember, guys, focus on tokenomics as well.
Definitely. Very thanks for that. Very valuable take, Seth. Very good. So speaking of long-term investments for the bull run, I said earlier that there are some narratives that I'm looking at, and I would like to get you guys' perspective on it. And one of the things that I really believe, one of the set of crypto projects that I think could do well, especially with all of the regulation, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I think regulations, regulatory compliance cryptos might just be kind of a thing, like irrespective of the niche and where they are operating. there's this raging war that will be going on with crypto in securities versus commodities. So what do you guys think? Do you think, irrespective of what niche it's in, projects that are regulatory compliant, that won't have so much problem with the SEC and the like, do you believe they'll just do well? Would that be a factor that will make a project do very well? Personally, I think yes, that's a plus in my book whenever I'm seeing a project and I know straight from the get-go, okay, this is a project that wouldn't have too much problems with the regulators. Just a few moments ago, like several hours ago, Coinbase said they are no longer having any trading pairs with BUSD because they want to avoid the lawsuits because Paxos was sued for issuing BUSD. So people might also tend to distance themselves from projects that can cause issues like that. So what do you guys think about it? Would this be something to look out for when picking a project?
Yeah, I would say yes, absolutely. So at the end of the day, I would say gone are the days where we're going to be seeing Doji Elon Mars rallies. I mean, we will see them, right? But it's not going to be as big as a narrative as what it was in the last bull run. I've noticed already there's a big shift to people trying to adopt regulatorily compliant cryptos, right? ISO 222 compliant cryptos that, or exchanges that comply with regulations as well, such as LCX, right? LCX complies with all the regulations that is needed. It's an exchange. At the end of the day, we saw what happened with FTX, right? Once regulations come in, I think these exchanges are going to be very strictly enforced in terms of what they have to prove, right? We heard about proof of reserves, was it? So there will be potentially a situation where they will have to show in their balance statement or whatever, the balance sheet, all of the projects which they hold and how much, because, FTX are doing some shady things with their money and no one really knew about it until it happened, right? And we heard something happen with Crowcoin where Crypto.com sent loads of money over to a random wallet and loads of it was lost, right? So I think these things need to be monitored, or they will be monitored at the end of the day, and we will have to capitalize off that. I think a lot of cryptos may slowly wither away due to regulations. And these exchanges, these blockchains that are complying with regulations, such as those ones like Algorand, Quant, XRP, XLM, XDC, these ones, IOTA, they're going to be the ones that, in my opinion, get the big adoption. And that's just the way how it's going to be, in my opinion, whether we like it or not. I lean more on the side of less regulations than more regulations personally, because I strongly believe in decentralization as an ideology. I think it's very important, but at the end of the day, it seems like it's never going to happen. It seems like crypto and blockchains are going to be used as a way of pushing the CBDC narrative, unfortunately. So I think we're just going to end up in a situation where most of crypto is just regulated, most of it is centralized, and we've got to capitalize off that if that's the case, and not just whine about it and cry in our basement because crypto is going to become regulated. It's the best way to make money off it is by chasing those true utility projects and not going for shady projects or ones that seem to be in the meme coin category.
Yeah, I'm very similar to that take. What would say is, if we're looking towards the future, if we're looking towards adoption, specifically adoption, if we would like the blockchain to be more than just or crypto specifically, to be more than just a means of investment, then we're going to have to steer towards ISO compliant tokens. Because whether you like it or not, skepticism exists in crypto. People are fearful of what coins they can actually utilize because of rug pulls, because of scams, because of things like FTX. People are very scared of what to utilize. Therefore, even though I don't like regulation, even though I don't like the government getting their hands involved in crypto, because it arguably goes against the point of crypto in its first place, regulation and ISO compliant tokens allows for a crypto to be adopted more than just a means of investment. For example, if a financial institution right now wants to utilize the blockchain, pretty much the only metric for them to do that is the ISO compliant tokens. They can utilize Quant, they can utilize Algorand, they can utilize XDC, and it can actually be utilized in a safe and effective manner because it has that regulation. So I do think there is a time and place for ISO compliant tokens. Right now, I think it is pioneering that front for adoption of crypto, allowing crypto to be perceived as more than just, NFTs and ape coins. I think regulation, even though I don't like it, was good for crypto in a way. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's allowing it to be taken more seriously. I'm sure you have a few friends. You say crypto to them, they think it's a scam, they think it's black market, they think it's NFTs, they think it's, ape coins, they think it's, Dogecoin and all these other meme coins out there, Shiba Inu and all that stuff. However, we want to understand that crypto has much more utility. Crypto right now isn't even being used to its full potential. However, the projects that are pioneering on that front, whether we like it or not, is most likely the ISO compliant tokens, which are regulatory compliant. So that's what I'm going to say regarding this. But also, guys, even if you'd like to even though I'm suggesting that ISO compliant tokens are helping with adoption, they're also great means of investment. These projects are kind of going to perform quite well. There is some, optimists for quant, some delusional optimists for quant who think it's going to 100 and 200x their money. They are delusional, guys. The more conservative value would be somewhere within that 30 to 50x range for quant, which I believe is entirely possible in the next bull run.
Yeah. Guys, I have a question for you both. Now, it's a difficult question. You may not be able to answer it because I'm unable to answer it. So maybe you know and I don't. But there was a question in one of my videos regarding Gala about regulation to gaming coins such as Gala. Are they going to be regulated? Could gaming coins be attacked? Like, how do you guys see, because we talk about regulation and how certain coins will do well due to regulation. But like, seriously, what can they do to gaming coins? Could they just say, right, you can't use this in the US? Or what can they even do to these play to earn coins if they decide that it doesn't fit their narrative? Or would they decide if it fits their narrative or not?
What I would say, if they decide that it doesn't fit their narrative, it'll be very, very simple to do so. So basically, if we have to understand what crypto is or what actually Web3 is. The shift from Web2 to Web3, the main idea is tokenization and also digital assets. The moment tokenization happens for games, arguably, gaming will be a form of gambling. Because if you bet your real money, because it's going to become real money, especially when CBDCs are implemented, right? This is another form of currency. The moment that happens, it's arguably a secondary form of gambling. And the moment that is the case, it's up for regulation. Gambling is a very heavily regulated industry. So if they wanted to, that could happen. Whether or not that'll happen is another question in itself. Will they do it? It's a great question to ask. And personally, not anytime soon. They understand that this gaming, narrative could probably really help with adoption of crypto. If they get every single industry utilizing crypto, this will inevitably help with their idea of CBDCs. Because once everyone in every single industry is utilizing crypto, CBDCs will have more power because, you're all using crypto, but we're only going to like to use CBDCs because if you don't, then you're not compliant to regulation. So it's going to really help with, their narrative. So I don't think they're going to ban it. However, they always have that power. They can seriously just say, regulation, it's gambling, you're betting real money, not allowed to use it. However, one more thing, SM, then you could say. However, what I would add is they can just say you're not allowed to use it. All they can really do at the end of the day is certain centralized exchanges could not allow you to trade the Gala token in for real money. That's essentially all they could do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Seth. I was just agreeing with you when you were talking because I also wanted to say something similar. I mean, if you talk about regulations with gaming cryptocurrencies, you have to look at where the what direction are they approaching it from. I mean, if you're dealing with gaming with the gaming tokens as a form of money, if they want to put regulations on it, they can certainly put some regulations around that. I mean, you're exchanging real cash for it. And there's another perspective you can look at regulations coming from, like in terms of the way they will view it as a security, how the tokens got distributed in the first place. Was it distributed, as a form of investments where some people have a point of interest in it, so they can start looking at it as a security? Was it free and open to the market? So that's another approach that can come at it from. So there are a lot of factors you look into. Like Seth says, if the game has a lot of gambling involved, are they going to, put some restrictions on it because of that aspect? And there's just so much factors to consider. So it all depends on what approach they're going to take to it, and that's how you move accordingly in terms of regulation. So I wouldn't look at it as gaming coins per se, regulations coming for gaming coins. I'll just look at it as regulation coming for a project. Like it can be like any other project. People can look at it as, let's bet some Bitcoin on this game, like Drake did for football matches or for fights. So does that mean we are regulating the project itself or the activity that the project is being used for? So if there's going to be competitive gaming and people are betting, or there's going to be a prize pool with the project, it all depends on what direction the regulators are coming from. So it's just there are a lot of things to think about there.
I
What
think
I
if
would
it's
say,
play to earn, if it's play to earn, then arguably it's gambling, right? If you're competing, but if you're not paying to play, if it's free to play, then is it really gambling if it's free to play, right?
this is what you need to understand, Archie, though.
Yeah.
The only reason people are going to switch from Web 2 to Web 3 is the idea of tokens, or else there would be no utility in that. There would be literally no reason. The gamers don't care about the security of the game. They could care less.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I would say that's 90% the reason, and then or 95% the reason, and then 5% is actual ownership. So I would say to a small extent, it has been an issue in some games where people have had their accounts banned and they've spent $200 on a certain in-game item or whatever. But I'd say that's not the main reason. Certainly the main reason is the token side. But yeah, potentially these cryptos could be attacked by regulators. But what I would say is ultimately we've always got to have in our minds that these are high risk investments that we're making, right? We're not investing in Apple stock or Tesla stock. At the end of the day, it's crypto, and we can't delude ourselves to think that these are guaranteed 100x's. We've always got to have in the back of our mind that one day the US government could go full anti-crypto and literally attack almost everything except for the ISO coins, the regulated coins, and Bitcoin, and Ethereum. So that is possible. We saw how they attacked privacy coins. We saw how Monero and other coins like in the privacy sector and kind of the anonymous sector have been attacked. We've seen issues regarding FTX where FTX literally collapsed, and there's a whole debate that's been sparked subsequent to that. So ultimately, we've always got to have in the back of our head, these are high risk investments, and that is why I strongly have conviction that I am doing it the right way in my investments, right? For the people who are in my Patreon, I'm not going to disclose the exact amounts, but I would say around 75% of my portfolio is regulatory compliant cryptos and Bitcoin and Ethereum. 75%. So the rest of it, you can say that's high risk, high reward, but at the end of the day, if that doesn't perform, if that gets attacked, I'm still going to be doing well. So yeah, I'm not trying to spread FUD either here. I'm not doing that at all. I'm trying to just provide a realistic framework here because we're all in the crypto space. We all believe these projects are going to 100x. We all believe that Gala is going to be the dominant force in entertainment in the future. But belief is one thing, right? And we've also got to have that 5% in the back of our head just saying we never know if these could be treated as gambling assets and then be up for strong regulation. It doesn't mean they're going to be banned, right? It doesn't mean necessarily they could be banned. It just means that you're going to have to KYC to use these. So if you're going to use Nakamoto, you're going to have to KYC and you're going to have to be over 18 to use it because it's going to be seen as a gambling thing. It doesn't mean it's going to be banned and you're going to go to zero. It just means that there's going to be stricter rules and regulations around it.
And this brings us back to the main point that regardless of all the individual differences of each project, it is still crypto and it is still being used as a means of investment. And if it's being used as a means of investments, be sure regulation will always be a problem for that, guys. Pay attention to that. And I do want to touch upon one thing I said. You're talking about, this is back to the question Archie proposed, and you did say something about, did people get in at different levels? In terms of if it's going to be regulated. And what I would say to that is, even if we look in the gaming industry right now, even if people did get in at different levels, these institutions could just argue, these crypto projects could just argue, we're just giving early access to these tokens. It's not a means of investment, because that's the same thing that happens with gaming. You have a beta, people get in early. You even have a private beta with streamers. So I don't think per se the degree in which someone got into the project could be regulated as a means of investment, saying, oh, you were just allowing people to get in early, that's why, this is just investments. So I don't think that's going to be as big as a problem, because we already have that in the gaming industry right now.
Okay, that's interesting, because I really thought that would be an issue. But yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing it up. So yeah, should we go through some of the comments? The very first comment here talking about a project is Alchemy Pay, and I've quickly looked at it. I mean, it's a mid cap, over $200 million, so that means it's doing something right. 51% in circulation, and is in the e-commerce industry, one of the sectors that, oh sorry, it wasn't sure. Okay, yeah, so it's in the e-commerce industry, one of the sectors that have been really looking into, and I believe has a lot of potential within the crypto space, because a form of payments solution that benefits both merchants and payers, quick, effective, transparent on the blockchain. I had a very difficult experience with the bank ones, because they weren't operating well, and I had to wait a week before they confirmed that my payments went through. So this is something that the blockchain actually makes better. So yeah, I like the industry that this project is in. Well, when it comes to investments, what I know Archie released the video, and Seth has also, both of you released a video. Seth talked about 10 mid-cap gems, and Archie made a video on the top 3 mid-cap gems. So I just want you guys to quickly give us a summary. What do you think about investing in high caps, mid caps versus low caps? Do you believe mid caps present an opportunity that is just as good as low caps? Because some would argue that the mid caps are stuck. They are still trying to make it, they're still trying to break into the high caps, but people can just get bored and it will start going down. If you look at some of the top performing coins, you see in the past few years, like, you see some projects that were existing, but nobody is paying attention to them anymore. So would you say that mid caps are in that risky category where they've peaked, but they haven't gone up fast enough to be in the high cap, and they are just slowly dying a slow but steady death? So what's your opinion on that in mid caps versus low caps?
What I would say is, in no way a mid cap stock, it's just because of what certain narratives are in a bull run. We need to understand, hype really carries so much in a bull run. So many projects have utility and so many projects don't. So even if a project reached, a couple $100 million of market cap, that doesn't mean it's stuck there because there was something wrong with it per se. It could just mean there was a really, really strong narrative in the last bull run that overcrowded the utility of this project to be adopted by most retail investors. That's entirely possible. That could be the case. What I would say is a good example of this may not be a mid cap per se, but Quant. The way we're actually looking for Quant to go in the next bull run far exceeds the market cap it sits at. You wouldn't be looking for a 50 to 60x with a high cap gem. That's asinine. You'd always be looking for a low cap gem to do 50, 60x or a mid cap gem. But the fact that we're looking for a high cap gem to get those returns just shows you guys that even though a project is sitting at X amount of market cap, that is not reflective of the potential of that project at all. I think it's ridiculous to say that's the case.
Yeah, I would agree. And what I would say regarding mid caps is there's a lot of mid caps. It's all up for interpretation as well as what you define as a mid cap. personally, I look at projects like under 1 billion as mid cap range, and kind of above 100 million generally. So that would be my range for mid caps. And the thing that people don't realize is it can happen overnight pretty much for a mid cap to get into the high cap category. It once a rally starts, like we saw how quick Singularity Net went from 40 million to 550 million in market cap in like a month. So these things can happen, and it really all depends on the utility behind them. But I think mid caps do make up a decent amount of my portfolio, and it was ironic how me and Seth both made a video on the same day on mid caps, right? I did top 3, he did top 10, completely ironically, right? So my top 3 was AGIX, CeeLo, and Gala, right? They were my top 3, and all in different categories of crypto. And that's what I think a lot of people need, really, is obviously not financial advice, is to diversify their categories. Don't go all into gaming. Don't go all into payments, but spread it out a bit, because we don't know really what's going to be the big trend. And that's why I went for a bit of AGIX, because I think AI is still huge. I'm up around 10x on my investment in that. Then we've got CeeLo, which is, in my opinion, doing a lot of good for the world. I do like ethical investing. I do like investing in projects which are generally trying to tackle real world issues, such as lack of accessibility to banking. This is a major issue in the world. People in I don't like using this phrase, but in the privileged West, don't necessarily understand some of the issues around the world regarding banking and the lack of banking. So yeah, it's a major thing that they're doing in terms of giving mobile phone users access to sending and receiving money. Because a lot of people have mobile phones, but not everyone has access to a bank. So it's great to see. They've also got their own stable coins, their own euro and their own dollar, which I think both obviously provide utility. It's good to see a euro as well, because the euro is also seen as a very strong currency globally. So yeah, it's great to see. I think CeeLo is going to perform well. I also added Gala in terms of the entertainment side of crypto, because they've got music, film, and gaming. We don't know how big the Web3 revolution really is going to be. We can't delude ourselves too much into thinking that this is going to dominate the whole world in 5 years. We can't get too deluded and too sidetracked based on the fact that we have our own biases. You have to think from first principles. You have to think rationally and objectively. Why is Web3 going to be so big? That's what you need to ask yourself. I don't want to seem like a skepticist or I'm spreading too much FUD, but it's important to really ask yourself, why does this bring so much more value than Web 2? And I think it's going to take time before the revolution happens. But at the same time, if there's any project in Web 3 which I believe is going to dominate, I would be looking towards Gala as that project, because of the fact, if gaming doesn't work for them, they've got 2 other things on the side. But Gala is still mostly known for the gaming side of things, so I still think that'll be the main port of call for Gala. So yeah, that's what I went for in terms of mid caps. I think all of them have 50x potential, or around that range, maybe 20x. And that's the great thing, is with mid caps you can get good gains, but also have the stability of the fact that they're not just going to be rug pulled, right? Because if they're a mid cap, they're probably legitimate projects, whereas some low caps can be doing shady things. Now, any crypto can die, obviously. I don't want to go, but that's the exception, not the rule, right? Luna was the exception. It's not the rule that most high caps die out. That just isn't the truth, right? Most don't get rug pulled, right? If you look at Matic, you look at ADA, you look at all of these, most survive. And I see this comment also here, and we talked about that before, didn't we? We talked about that before. So rewind back a bit. We went into quite a big debate regarding that exact question.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say as well. Jel Kang, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. We just had a very long discussion, both Seth and I, on, as well as Archie, on whether or not Gala can survive regulations. And same with thanks for joining us. I think, yeah, Singularity Net is one of the mid caps that Archie just brought up a while ago before he joined us. and I really believe it's going to do well. So yeah, the AI narrative is still strong. I believe, there's still a lot more that it can offer, and there's a lot more room for growth. So yeah, you guys can check. Well, I think, the
I would say the
blockchain guys.
What I
ecosystem
would
is very
say,
strong. Yeah.
yeah, what I'd say is Singularity Net's ecosystem is very strong, as Archie was also going to say just then. They have some great projects under their belt, but what I would say makes Singularity Net just specifically so amazing, guys, is because I say this all the time. Why don't you bet on a group of people who are performing well in their respective industry outside of crypto who now want to come into crypto? Ben Gertz and Hanson Robotics are leading in AI and AGI. That is outside of crypto. That's not even crypto. Now they want to dabble in crypto with Singularity Net. I see that as a great opportunity to essentially back the best. It's kind of, what's the example I always use? It's kind of like if, let's just say, Nike or Nike, however you guys want to pronounce it, wherever you're from, want to come into crypto and create some form of shop to buy shoes on. You're going to back Nike, or are you going to back some random project? You're going to back Nike. So that's essentially the same logic of Singularity Net. So if you now take Nike and now take Singularity Net specifically, the subgroups of Singularity Net, such as SDAO, such as pretty much everything else they have in the ecosystem, Sophiaverse, and many more, are arguably how do I say this? It's essentially like the children of Singularity Net. It's like if Nike brought out a little sub company about something else, maybe
Sounds like something Ben Gertzel would say on a podcast.
it does sound like something Ben Gertzel would say, guys. But the main point I'm trying to make is bet projects who the people behind the projects are leading in their respective industries, because be sure they're going to perform well in crypto. So definitely, without a doubt. But what I would say is regarding SDAO, that's the main one. That's the one people usually are referring to when they say Singularity Net ecosystem projects. What I would say regarding SDAO that was made by this wizard right here, is I personally think there is better investments at the same market cap level. But that's not to say that SDAO wasn't a great project. It is a great project. However, again, I understand that there is some better investors out there. If I had to pick between both of them, I am still going with Singularity Net. I'm betting on the project, which essentially carries that sub-project. SDAO arguably is reliant on Singularity Net to do well. Because if Singularity Net doesn't do well for whatever reason, you probably are going to see SDAO not do too well too.
Yeah.
That
I would
makes
agree with all of that as well. And what I would say about the ecosystem is I think there's a lot of different projects on there. You've got a huge range, right? You've got the DeFi project in SDAO. You've got the medical project as well. So there's a lot of different projects going on there. But ultimately, what I would do is I would just invest in Singularity Net, because I think it's going to be huge in the long term. I do also like the idea of Hypercycle. We did a pre-sale over on my Telegram for that one. It's up huge already. So they've already made massive gains on that one. But yeah, I think that guy behind that project, honestly, is a genius. And I don't say that lightly about people. I don't think there's that many geniuses in the world, but I would say this man is truly a genius in his field. He's been studying AI since the age of 4. So if there's anyone in the world who knows AI to the same degree, I don't think there's anyone who knows it better than him, really. And I've listened to him speak on multiple podcasts, multiple AMAs. I would like to meet the guy and actually have a conversation, because I like the way how his brain works as well. Me and Seth have talked about it and joked about it, but he gets so philosophical. He compares humans to ants. He talks about how we're actually very close to the singularity. And he was saying that between now and in 50 years, the singularity is going to happen. And it will be a major event in humanity that we'll always look back on. So yeah, I think he's an intelligent guy, comes up with some new ideas. And I do think that he's good-minded. I do think that what he wants is to truly decentralize AI and to make it accessible, but also have the governance democratized. And I think that's very important, because we right now don't realize how big AI is going to be in 5 or 10 or 20 years time. But this man does. He's researched it extensively. he knows what's going on in the background, underneath the cover. He knows what's going on, and he knows that the best way to have AI is on a blockchain, is with the governance decentralized, and that is why, like Seth said, he's been operating in AI before crypto. He's had it, and Hanson Robotics has existed as well before crypto. So he realized this is an opportunity to put his work into crypto and therefore allow it to be accessible. So yeah, I'm really, honestly, if there's any crypto right now that I am so bullish on, it is this. This is, in my opinion, my favorite project in crypto. Full stop. That's what I would say, and it's most of it comes from the intelligent brains behind it.
I'm in utter
Yeah.
agreement with you regarding Singularity Net. There is few geniuses out there. Ben Gertzel definitely is one of them. I've listened to all his podcasts as well. I've listened to him talk so much, and I don't think we can conceptualize his mind. He views things in such a different way, guys. But yeah, there is few geniuses out there, Ben Gertzel, me, and a few other people. But what I do want to say is I believe in Singularity Net, but I also want to be logical. And we can form a discussion about this as well. Because I think the main benefit of Singularity Net is just the fact that the blockchain, allows for borderlessness, accessibility around the world. The blockchain also allows for great security aspects of it as well. This idea of governance, I believe, is hogwash. I believe it's kind of like a trope that should draw people in to allow them to believe they have any form of control over the systems, when in reality, this idea of governance is just utter nonsense. But that doesn't mean, that this is great, because I think still Singularity Net's on the blockchain, accessible around the world. AI is the future, not disputed by any computer scientists at all. And the blockchain will allow for AI to grow exponentially. Therefore, the blockchain and crypto, not the blockchain, crypto, the blockchain and AI coincide with so much potential.
Yeah.
So, what
Yeah.
are you guys' thoughts on that in terms of
Yeah.
governance?
Sorry, I have to say
Yeah,
more to that.
I also have similar thoughts to Seth on that. I mean, I always like, except there are some rare cases, kind of like Polygon and Ethereum. I always like the parents' body in things like this, because if if Singularity Net does well, if Singularity Net is not doing well, it would affect every other project under it. Look at what happened to Solana when people found out that FTX was a heavy backer of Solana. The price started to go down. So that's parent effect. Yeah, it's not that Singularity DAO is a bad idea. I think it's a very good idea too, but I just prefer the parent's body. But you guys have said a lot of interesting things, and I'm also bullish on other AI projects like Viot. But one of the major differences, not the major, but one of the major differences are the market caps. And I don't want to drag you guys back to this question, because I've already asked you what you think about mid caps versus low caps. But now it's bringing me to several other things, because I saw a comment from Seth, the second Seth, about Telos. And I looked at Telos in the early days of my channel, and I also like the project. I mean, it's smart contracts, cryptocurrency projects. It has over 70% in circulation. They have smart NFTs, it's a good blockchain, and it has a low market cap. So why are people not investing in it? And it always makes me think about this first mover advantage. How powerful do people think first mover is in crypto? Because it baffles me. It always baffles me whenever newer projects don't get a chance. I mean, Singularity Net would be the best performing AI crypto, because it's just the highest. And once the AI market starts moving again, Singularity Net would move first. Even though there might be bigger gains to be made in other places, all that attention would be in the first mover first, and we can see it, explode. Then it would move, trickle down to some of the lower caps. Then we start to see other shit coins tagging on AI without actually doing anything. So,
Yep.
how relevant do you think first mover advantage is in the crypto space? Do you believe we should just focus on the first mover. Let's go as high as we can with it without doing some degen plays. So what's your opinion on first movers in
Me and
crypto?
Archie, we both grab our mics and we both want to speak. So
I think I need to go like this.
I think we need to. I think you need to direct comments to us.
I think I put my hands up first. So
I'll go first because I made the joke,
Seth,
right?
you go first.
Okay, so firstly, because I know you're comparing Ajax to Singularity Net, what I do want to bring up is the reason Singularity Net is a bigger project is not coincidence. We don't want to look at just high markups and believe, yeah, that's a high markup, that's a low market cap. There is probably a reason why it's a high markup. And what I would say the reason is for Singularity Net compared to Vial is an AI assistant. It's specific niche in AI. Singularity Net is essentially just all of AI. We will create any form of AI system and make it decentralized. Therefore, Singularity Net is a bigger ecosystem. It can encompass pretty much anything in AI. You can create any form of AI system, and technically, Singularity Net could implement it into their marketplace and make it decentralized. So you have to realize that projects are in certain markets for certain reasons. Singularity Net was broad. It encompasses all of AI. It had a big team behind it. It's entirely possible we could just see an AI assistant on Singularity Net. There is no reason why that's not possible. So the reason this project is bigger is probably due to that fact. It's not coincidence that certain projects are at certain markups. That's the first thing I wanted to say. In terms of first mover advantage, it depends what you're talking about. If crypto is still seen as a means of investment, then probably the first mover advantage plays a part. But in terms of adoption, it's just the better project. It's the project which actually caters to institutions. It's the project which will allow AI to be implemented in a greater manner. So you need to pay attention to those different parts because, it all plays into it. In terms of a means of investment, then probably, lower market cap will probably do better. First mover advantage is nothing. People are just going to invest in to whatever will make them the most money. In terms of adoption, markups are relevant as well. If a lower cap gem allows for more institutional adoption, it will probably perform better than Singularity Net, which may not allow for more institutional adoption. So it's whatever project does cater to the best needs. What I do want to say in general is, to sum this all up, is crypto isn't just a means of investment, guys. There is utility behind every project. New people to crypto and people that don't understand crypto, it's funny, when you talk to someone who doesn't understand crypto, they don't realize that every single crypto project is different. They're not just all the same with different animals in front of them that mean something else. One crypto project actually has something behind it. Ethereum is different to Bitcoin, which is different to Singularity Net, which is different to, to chillers. They all have their different use cases. So people need to understand that.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
What about you, Seth? I mean, Archie. Sorry.
Yeah. I can tell we've all been working hard today, right? So what I would say to that is I agree to a large extent with what Seth's saying, but I would add as well, in terms of the benefit to being a first mover advantage, you've got to ask, where were all the other AI projects when Singularity Net moved to AI back in 2018? Right? There was a reason why Singularity Net were the first one. And that I was saying this in my group. I don't believe that most of these projects riding the AI trend are genuine projects. Now, there could be a genuine project in the future, right? A genuine AI company could move to the blockchain. But right now, a lot of these AI projects that I'm seeing will never get to the same level as Singularity Net. And the reason I would say that, where were they years ago? Has AI only just come out? Is AI just this brand new thing that didn't exist 4 years ago? Or are they merely riding the trend and being a bad actor? So that's one thing I would say. In terms of AI, I'd say it's a bit different in terms of the first mover advantage, because the ones that came out, a few years ago, they have a much bigger advantage, in my opinion, than these ones that are just coming out to ride the trend. But obviously, over time, this will wither away. So like the metaverse projects, for example, we had the initial metaverse projects, such as Sandbox and Decentraland. And then we had loads of new ones try and ride this trend, right? And add meta in the name. But eventually, this is going to wither away, and then there will be new metaverse projects which genuinely are good. But what I would just say, there won't be any bigger AI project, in my opinion, so long as Ben Goertzel and David Hansen, if that's his first name, from Hanson Robotics are with Singularity Net, because they are two of the greatest minds in the whole AI field. So the only way how I would see another one overtaking it is if, or AGI as well, is if those two moved over to another one, or if some exceptional minds from another company made a crypto. I can't see any of these AI pad or any of these new ones that I'm seeing people shill. I can't see any of them getting anywhere near Singularity Net in the future. And
unless they're revolutionary. Unless
Yeah,
something
yeah.
revolutionary. It's
I,
the
I wanted
only
to make that point as well. Yeah, I mean, I've gathered a lot from what you guys are saying. You guys are making a lot of sense. So I think what we can take away from this is, from Seth and Archie, I can say it's possible for more than one project to coexist, as long as the other competing projects are, doing something unique and are adding more to that niche. So it's not a matter of just, can this project survive and it will be the only one surviving. So it's possible for several of them to exist, and like Seth said, if they are revolutionary. So it's also something I've been saying, there should be a unique selling point. So to answer your question, Mr. Seth number two, yeah, it's Telos is a good project. Then what I would say to that is, from what Archie and Seth also said, the first movers are first movers for a reason. And I mean, there's a reason why, there's a lot of institutions investing in them, and there's a lot of they have a very high market cap. So if they are going to get a competitor, that competitor has to be solving a big problem that can't be solved by the first movers, and it can give them a competitive edge. It can give them a higher market cap or a higher valuation. So regarding Telos, I can see it's faster, over 10,000 transactions per second. It had an all-time high of let me bring this up. It had an all-time high of over $330 million. So yeah, it's an interesting project. It's a good project as well. It's just the adoption. So maybe there's something holding it back. Maybe developers find it easier um to create smart contract projects on Ethereum or other blockchains than Telos. But I don't know, man. It's just it can yeah, maybe if you feel like it can compete, it can do a lot better than many other projects, then fine. But it's a good project. The fundamentals are good as well. It's kind of like the way I like Tezos, and it's why I brought up this conversation of first mover. So yeah,
Sam, I have one thing I wanna say. I want to touch upon
yeah.
one more thing from the AI discussion before. And it was due to when I just thought about this a second ago. And when you were talking about, revolutionary projects and things like that, I said revolutionary, unless it's revolutionary, but I had a counter argument to my argument, right? And what I wanted to say was, but like I said before, Singularity Net is very broad in terms of AI. It encompasses everything. And I think they did that for a reason, because they understood that AI isn't really utilized to its maximum potential. It's in its infancy. It's not really commercial use yet. So Singularity Net made their project so broad, and because they're the leading minds in AI, because they're basically the most intelligent people in AI, it doesn't really matter what someone else creates, because they're just going to replicate that and do it better. And because they're so massive and huge, have so much backing and money behind them, they're going to be the one that's adopted by the masses. For example, I could create a revolutionary product right now, unless I patent it, but we're dealing with crypto here, The argument is away from centralization. Where are you going to patent it? Is there going to be some form of crypto that will allow you to patent ideas? I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe some NFT pass. This may be a great project. Someone create this. But look, the point is, there is always going to be a bigger fish that can do it better, maximize it, and throw it around the world for adoption. That's probably what's going to happen. And Singularity Net made their project so broad that artificial liquid intelligence, their idea can be replicated in Singularity Net via its AI assistant. I see no reason why I couldn't see Singularity Net doing an AI assistant. And because they are that bigger project with the most intelligent minds in the whole of AI, they're probably going to do it better.
Yeah, and what I would say as well is, this man will shift with the times. So like you were saying exactly. Singularity Net will just adapt. Then they're not going to perish, and that like exactly like you said with the fact that they left it up for interpretation. The fact that they left the project somewhat ambiguous leads to them being able to basically just go in any single scope because they haven't narrowed them down to one exact sector. So yeah, I think Ben Goertzel's a genius. And look, there may be new AI projects which aim to do new services, but from what I've heard, the best minds are in that team of Hanson Robotics and Ben Goertzel's team. So especially in AGI. And I think ultimately every other company is just going to be that step behind, I think, unless there's other minds out there that are more intelligent than Ben Goertzel, which I highly doubt. I think he's the most intelligent man on the planet. But yeah, I just don't see any comparison to this mind personally. And look, you may be thinking I'm exaggerating here, but I genuinely don't think I am. And we will see the future unfold. And I think Singularity Net will be behind a lot of the advancement of AI in the next few years.
Definitely, you know, I don't think people can conceptualize the way Ben Goertzel approaches certain topics in terms of ant colonies and the way he anthropomorphizes, you know, different systems. So I genuinely believe, guys, that we're gonna see the revolution of AI coincide of crypto because the blockchain can basically amplify AI and cause it to have the exponential growth. You know, some computer scientists suggest that AI is increasing at a rate of 20% a year. Do you really think it's going to be 20% every single year for 50 years? No, not at all. It's going to be exponential at some point. And it might actually be the blockchain that can cause it to be exponential. And I'll give you guys a good example. If they create some form of AI system that can be utilized by the general populace, the way to get it to the general populace around the world, to everyone to utilize, is the blockchain. It's borderless. It can be transacted worldwide in mere seconds. So the blockchain can essentially amplify AI and cause it to have mass adoption. So I really think it's important to pay attention to these AI cryptos. And that's what me and Archie were doing before AI was a trend. You know, we had these long hours of discussion. You know, we debated each other. We found common ground and we understood that AI essentially is the future and the blockchain can help. That's what you guys need to do with other projects, just like that amazing project idea I just talked about in terms of patenting and NFTs, you know, for patenting on the blockchain to move away from, you know, centralization. You need to think revolutionary, especially if you want to find those projects early.
That's an interesting take on AI. And you know, we've been talking for over an hour now, guys, and some of you might not know it, but we were talking, you know, a bit longer than over 30 minutes before we came live. So we are going to be rounding this up very soon now. Just look at one more comment and then we'll call it a night. So
you sure you don't want to discuss Bitcoin versus Ethereum now? It's like a great
chance. That will take us
joking.
another hour. Maybe on the Gem Hunters, maybe on one of you guys' live stream, because guys, there's very interesting things to be said, you know, when we start looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, their place in the crypto markets, how it influences and moves the markets. Very interesting takes from both.
versus Stratos.
Yeah.
Compete versus RPG versus Fabwell versus SpinTop.
I mean, Archie, you need to tell me what you are reading. You know, I mean, Seth. Actually, I was telling Seth, you know, earlier, I was like, dude is reading some books and is
read this
applying.
Book, my friend.
Oh, that's where it's coming from.
I'm joking. Don't read that book. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, guys, I'm just going to take one more comment. And
my brain is working on a different wavelength. You know, me and Ben Goertzel, we have the same glasses. And I think people with those glasses can conceptualize things differently from other people. So, you know.
All right, then, no problem. Let me see. So, I'm just going to take these comments and then I'll call it a day. Can we see layer 3 solutions be the next narrative?
Solutions?
I don't even, to be honest, so I don't know what layer 3 solutions are.
We got layer 1s, right?
Yes.
Which is their own blockchains. We got layer 2s built on layer 1s. Then you got layer 3s, which are built on layer 2s. So solutions for layer 3s makes no sense unless you're talking about allowing layer 3s to be independent of layer 2s and layer 1s. that could work technically to skip that transition. If a layer 3 wants to be its own blockchain, something that will allow a layer 3 to transition, for example, CalVPN, right? Something that will allow CalVPN to transition to its own mainnet instead of being reliant on Cellframe, then being reliant on Ethereum. That could be a solution for layer 3s, but this is all just speculation and nonsense at this point. Unless you're just talking, is layer 3s is going to be a trend? You got to have to specify what you mean specifically by that.
Are you talking about interoperability projects, or I'm unsure exactly what he means by that.
That would be layer 0, wouldn't it?
Because you could do layer 3, making layer 3s interoperable, because layer 3s are built upon 2 other blockchains, making that layer 3 be able to interact with other projects out there. That's what I think Archie was referring to, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then.
Who even knows, guys?
Sure. I think this is a good point to round up. So I'd like to say,
my mind is boiled.
Let's talk about conspiracy theories now. Did the moon did the moon landing take place?
I'm good.
Someone, your namesake is saying you're artificially intelligent.
I've been listening to too much Ben Goertzel, that's why. It makes you conceptualize things differently.
All right. I can't express how much I appreciate you guys.
The anthropomorphisms of ant colonies is
There's an
very
utter
prominent.
abundance of ant colonies that Ben Goertzel anthropomorphizes with the way he conceptualizes different things.
Yeah. Ben Goertzel, very interesting.
Honestly, he's a smart mind. When you read more into what he's said, it's truly phenomenal. I've listened to a lot of smart people in the world, and I have a good inner circle of smart people as well around me. But when you hear a guy like this, you can tell that he's on a different wavelength, right? Same as Elon Musk. You can tell that, but I would say this guy's even further than Elon Musk. They're like, and Vitalik Buterin. They're in a different wavelength. They're basically living in a different realm to what we are. It's like they're 200 years in the future. I do believe that their brains their processor is like double ours, and ours are double the average person. So I think it's true. It truly is like a different state of intelligence that man.
And you know what, Archie? That brings me to Vitalik Buterin, and that brings me to Ethereum and his visions for Ethereum in the future. And that brings me to why Ethereum is just such an amazing project in general. And
Can I just show you guys a clip of Vitalik Buterin, just doing geometry? He's working out the Fibonacci sequence of the room that he's in. Can I show you guys this?
Yeah, sure. Bring this up.
If I can get this up in the chat here.
The way
here we go. Let me get it up.
Pattern recognition for them is very good. It's a very strong trait they have.
Yeah, man. If you could show
I know. I was suspecting this was what you bring up. Did you describe it?
He's working out the risk reward of him being in this room, and he's working out
the tokenomics of the room. How many people are in circulation in the room,
and how interoperable he is within this room. It really is smart stuff.
The token diversification, is it black, white, Asian?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to get into that
rabbit hole right now, because I'm like, is Ethereum really decentralized? I mean,
is crypto really decentralized? That's the main thought.
No, I can argue that crypto is decentralized because it's not controlled by one person. It's people that everybody has equal power in a lot of.
Do they have equal power?
Yeah,
if I hold less Bitcoin than you.
No,
I have more say over the market.
No, what I mean is, take for example, who decides if Ethereum gets a hard fork? Who decides if Ethereum gets an upgrade and things like that? Bitcoin, there can't be any decision on that anymore. It's mathematically locked. There's going to be 21 million tokens, and that's it. But if Vitalik decides, okay, I don't like the direction Ethereum is going, what if he implements a new policy? Who's going to stop him? Something like that. That's why I'm wondering
I think what it is, SSM, is the way you look at the form of decentralization. If you look at it in terms of we're all equal on the same system, that is not the case at all. But if you look at it that we all have equal accessibility to buy this token as a form of store of value, then that is true. Then arguably it's decentralized and the fact that everyone can equally buy it together. However, if you look at it as the system is equal, in no way is it equal, because if I have 10 trillion Bitcoin and you have 0.001 Bitcoin, I have more say over how that market's going to perform. And I have essentially
it's not
dominance.
film crib. It's not got the max supply of film crib, man.
Dominance, over you. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I get
$10
what
trillion,
you're saying.
not 10 trillion Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
agree with SSM, but
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, I'm talking about the project as a whole, not just the market's value or influence on markets. Because if I can still buy the Bitcoin from you, like,
Why? I
but
won't
I'm
sell it
talking
to you.
about what?
I won't sell it to you.
All right, then. Those with the most resources can restrict access to an asset.
Anyways, we're getting tired. It seems like
Yeah.
we're all on edibles now or something, so we should probably.
All right, then. This is a conversation for another day, Jobin. Thanks for joining us anyway. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate you. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Please, I'm sure Archie and Seth don't need it. They've got thousands of subscribers, far more. But if you are not subscribed to my humble, tiny channel by now, be sure to subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Like, share, and we'll see you next time, guys. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.